Dinner was loud, forks scraping, chairs shifting, Emma talking over everyone like she always did, until Grandpa set his glass down with a sound sharper than a slap. The room froze. Even the humming ceiling fan seemed to pause mid-turn. And then, in a voice that felt too calm for the weight behind it, he said, "Iris, why are you still taking disability payments?" Every sound died instantly. Iris blinked, unsure she even heard him correctly. "What, disability payments?" she whispered. Her voice caught between confusion and the prickle of rising heat crawling up her neck. No one moved. No one breathed. Her parents stared down at their plates as if the mashed potatoes suddenly became the most interesting thing in the world. Emma leaned back in her chair, arms folded, wearing that smug little smile she reserved for moments she thought Iris would finally be exposed or embarrassed. Uncle Ted cleared his throat. Aunt Marla took a long sip of wine even though her glass was already empty. The entire table felt like it had agreed, silently, collectively, to leave Iris standing alone in the center of something she didn't understand. The air tightened around her ribs. Grandpa didn't raise his voice. He didn't have to. His disappointment cut clearer than any shout. "You've been collecting funds for months," he said. "Payments meant for someone who can't work. Someone who needs help." Iris shook her head slowly, the way a person does when reality is slipping sideways. "I don't, Grandpa, I never applied for anything. I didn't even know." But as she tried to speak, her gaze drifted to the man standing near the doorway. She had noticed him earlier but assumed he was one of Emma's co-workers or a distant family friend. Now, under the sharp dining room light, he looked out of place in his pressed gray suit, holding a slim black folder tight to his chest. His presence carried a silent heaviness, like he had been waiting for this exact moment. Grandpa gestured toward him. "This is Mr. Adler," he said. "Independent auditor." The words slammed into Iris harder than the accusation itself. The man stepped forward, expression unreadable, shoes clicking against the hardwood floor in a rhythm that made her stomach twist. He placed the folder on the table with deliberate care, right in front of her, and in that moment Iris felt it. Something inside that folder was about to change everything. What I discovered in that folder would unravel everything I thought I knew about my family, and myself. Long before auditor folders and dinner table accusations, the truth had already been written into Iris's childhood. Quietly, consistently, like a pattern only she seemed to notice. 2 kids. 2 realities. One glowing. One dimmed on purpose. She was 12 the first time she understood the difference. Her class was going on a science field trip. Nothing extravagant, just a bus ride, a museum ticket, and a lunch packed by parents who remembered such things. The permission slip said $35. Iris had practiced for days how to ask. She waited until her mother wasn't busy, until Emma wasn't in the room demanding attention, until the house felt soft enough for a request. "Mom, can I have the money for the trip?" she asked, holding the paper like it might burn her fingers. Her mother didn't look up from the bills she was sorting. "Iris, please. We don't have that kind of extra money. You'll stay in school. Do something productive." That same afternoon, Emma burst through the door waving a brochure for dance lessons. $4.20 a month, not including shoes or costumes. Their mother's face lit up like a switch had been flipped. "Oh, sweetheart, of course. We'll make it work. Your talent shouldn't be wasted." Iris stood in the background, invisible in plain sight. The pattern didn't fade with age. It sharpened. When Emma's laptop cracked after she threw her backpack down too hard, she had a brand new one by the end of the week. Iris got her first laptop at 15. Someone's old, discarded work machine that overheated if she opened more than 2 tabs. And when it finally died during a school project, her father sighed and said, "You'll have to manage without. Be responsible with what you're given." Emma had private tutors. Entire weekends were built around her schedule. Math specialist, writing coach, college prep sessions before she even reached high school. Iris had the library. Her mother's answer to every struggle was the same 4 words, spoken like a sacred family philosophy. Don't depend on anyone. But Iris had learned that didn't apply to Emma. Emma could depend on everyone. Parents, grandparents, neighbors, teachers. because she had been born with a halo the family never questioned. She was the investment. The one with potential. The one worth the extra money, the extra time, the extra effort. Iris was the self-sufficient one. The afterthought. The child they bragged about being so mature for her age, not realizing they had forced that maturity onto her long before she was ready. Looking back, the adults never said it outright. They didn't need to, their actions told the story clearly. Two sisters under one roof, but two completely different lives. I learned early that in my family, love wasn't divided equally. It was reserved for those deemed worthy of investment. It happened fast. One second Iris was hurrying across the restaurant kitchen during her part-time shift. The next her foot hit a slick patch of water. The world tilted. Metal trays clattered. Her knee slammed into the tile with a crack that sent pain shooting all the way up her spine. She lay there for a breathless moment, staring at the ceiling lights buzzing above her, feeling the sharp, immediate certainty that something inside her had changed. And not for the better. For weeks afterward, she worked through the injury because she had no choice. Chronic pain settled into her body like an unwelcome tenant, aching, throbbing, pulsing with every step she took. But Iris kept moving, kept working, kept telling herself it would get better if she just tried hard enough. Trying hard was something she was good at. But pain didn't care. By the time she got the prescription, she was already limping. And now, 3 months later, she stared at the little orange bottle in her hand. Only 2 pills left. The refill date still days away. The doctor's warning echoing in her head. Don't skip doses. It'll make the inflammation worse. She gripped the counter as another wave of pain cut down her leg. The kitchen around her gleamed with freshly installed stainless steel appliances. Smooth, expensive, polished to showroom shine. Brand new fridge. A double oven. A wine cooler no one needed. Money existed. Just not for her. "Mom," she said, voice small but steady. "Can you help me? Can you look at this? It's getting worse." Her mother stood at the stove, seasoning chicken like she was performing sacred work. She didn't turn around. Didn't pause. Didn't even sigh. "Iris, please," she said, shaking pepper into the pan. "I'm busy. Or young. You'll be fine." Iris tightened her grip on the pill bottle until the plastic dug into her palm. The smell of garlic filled the kitchen. Oil crackled. The shine of the new appliances blurred behind her tears. And then it hit her. Cold, brutal, and unmistakably clear. Effort didn't matter. Pain didn't matter. Need didn't matter. Only hierarchy did. She wasn't asking for money. She wasn't asking for special treatment. She was asking for help. For a moment of care. For someone to acknowledge she was hurting. Her mother didn't even look at her. That was the day I learned exactly where I fit in this family. But I had no idea just how deep the betrayal went. Iris pushed her chair back from the dinner table so quietly no one noticed at first. Her hands were trembling. Her mind was spinning too fast to keep up. Grandpa, the auditor, the accusations. The weight of it crushed her chest like she couldn't pull in a full breath. I need a moment," she murmured, but no one stopped her. Of course they didn't. She stepped into the hallway, the one lined with family photos. Vacations, birthdays, Emma's trophies, Emma's recitals, Emma smiling in every light. Iris scanned the wall automatically, even though she already knew the truth. There wasn't a single picture of her. Not one. Her knees weakened, but she forced herself forward, slipping into the downstairs bathroom and locking the door behind her. Finally alone, she emptied her canvas bag onto the counter. The small notebook she kept to track every dollar she spent, a crumpled handful of receipts, her nearly empty medication bottle, and her phone, her entire life, organized in worn paper and ink. She flipped open the notebook. Each page was dated, clean, precise. Rent, groceries, bus fare, tips she'd earned, pills purchased out of pocket. Nowhere did she see a single disability payment. No extra deposits. No unexplained credits. Her stomach twisted as she opened her banking app. Scrolling. Nothing. No mysterious money. No government deposits. No disability income. Her hand steadied, not because she felt calm, but because the truth gave her something solid to stand on. She opened her email, typed slowly, making sure every word was clear. Subject: Urgent inquiry regarding disability payments. Hello, my name is Iris Hale, and I am writing to request clarification regarding disability payments reportedly issued under my name. I have not applied for disability benefits, nor have I received any such payments in my bank account. Could you please confirm whether any benefits have been filed, processed, or distributed under my information? Thank you. Iris Hale. She hit send before fear could talk her out of it. When she stepped back into the hallway, the muffled voices from the dining room filtered through the air. She moved quietly toward the doorway and paused, just enough to see the scene but not be seen herself. Emma arguing. Her mother defending Emma. Her father silent. Grandpa watching all of them like he had finally, painfully, begun to see what Iris had lived with her entire life. He looked up and saw her in the doorway. And in his eyes, there was no accusation, only understanding. Iris slipped on her coat, lifted her canvas bag, and walked out the front door without a single raised voice or goodbye. She didn't slam the door. She didn't cry. She didn't explain herself. I wasn't leaving in fear. I was leaving to build something they could never take from me. The truth. Iris unlocked the door to her Seattle apartment and stepped inside. The familiar quiet enveloped her, but tonight it felt different. Charged, purposeful. She set her canvas bag on the kitchen counter and emptied its contents onto the floor. Receipts, crumpled papers, the medication bottle, and her trusty notebook. Each piece was a thread she could follow, and tonight she would weave them together. She knelt on the floor, sorting by date, by type, by dollar amount. Bills went to one pile, receipts to another, and every note of medical visits and prescriptions stacked meticulously beside them. Once they were organized, she booted her laptop and opened a blank spreadsheet. Row by row she entered the data. Date of purchase, item or service, amount spent, the doctor's note or diagnosis. Every little detail she had painstakingly recorded over the years. It was methodical, almost meditative. Each keystroke a reminder that she was reclaiming control. She calculated hypothetical disability payments she would have been entitled to if her records were legitimate. $2,300 a year for 10 years. Her fingers hovered over the final cell as she totaled the sum. $280,000. Her apartment was quiet except for the occasional hum of the heater and the flickering light in the hallway she hadn't bothered to fix. It didn't matter tonight. That tiny imperfection didn't matter. Only the truth in her spreadsheet did. Hours passed. Midnight slid quietly into the city streets outside her window. She heard the ping of her email. The benefits office. She opened it to see the acknowledgement of her inquiry. A polite, official confirmation that her case would be reviewed. She read it twice, breathing slowly, deliberately, letting the weight of confirmation settle. Iris leaned back, eyes on the ceiling, the room a sea of papers around her. For the first time in years, she felt a quiet power. Not anger. Not vengeance. Calm, methodical clarity. She whispered to the empty room, a vow she could almost feel in her bones. I won't fix what they've broken. The receipts, the bills, data. Every fact carefully documented. Facts don't waver. Facts don't lie. Facts don't love one child more than another. And I was about to make sure everyone saw them. The street outside the house was already lined with cars, polished and gleaming in the morning sun, as if the neighborhood had been summoned to witness something monumental. Iris walked up the familiar driveway, her canvas bag slung over her shoulder, steady and unflinching. The front door opened into the same dining room she had left in chaos the night before. Polished table, crystal glasses, and Emma's smug face framed by sunlight streaming through the curtains. Everything looked normal, almost innocent, but Iris knew it wasn't. Auditor Stevens waited by the table, dark folder in hand, his presence calm but commanding. He set it down with a deliberate slide of paper against wood, the soft swish cutting through the room like a bell toll. Every eye, from parents to siblings, followed him. Silence, heavy and electric, filled the space. Let's begin, Stevens said. He opened the folder slowly, each document carefully placed on the table, Year by year, every deposit meticulously documented. Columns listed amounts, dates, and descriptions. Every entry bore Iris's name, but the recipient address was her parents' home. Every single one carried her mother's signature. Iris watched their reactions like a quiet storm. Denial first. A shake of the head. A nervous laugh. "That can't be right," her mother muttered. We thought she didn't need it." Stevens continued methodically. "Here's the vacation to Hawaii, the kitchen remodel, the SUV, Emma's private school tuition. All from payments in Iris's name." He paused just long enough for the weight of each word to settle. The numbers climbed. Rows upon rows. Spreadsheets from a decade of deceit. Finally he placed the last sheet in front of them. The total. $280,000. The room went quiet. Breath caught, eyes widened. The kind of stillness that precedes a storm. Her father leaned back, fingers tightening on the chair. Emma's mouth opened as if to argue, but no words came. Mom's hand trembled slightly over the edge of the table, her carefully cultivated composure cracking. Excuses followed, fumbling and weak. "We thought she didn't need it. She's always been so independent." Voices layered over one another, unraveling like loose thread. Each explanation rang hollow against the evidence Stevens had laid bare. Grandpa stepped forward, eyes sharp, cold as ice. His voice sliced through the room. "Anything to say?" No one spoke. Not Emma, not her mother, not her father. Their faces shifted, first to calculation. How could they survive the fallout? And finally to hollow realization, the grim acknowledgement that for 10 years, they had taken what was never theirs to claim. Iris stood still, heart steady. Every year of hardship, every overlooked effort, every ignored need. It all converged in this moment. Every fact meticulously documented, undeniable, incontrovertible. She realized then, with a clarity she had never known, that the power she had long been denied was finally hers. Every number on those pages spoke for me louder than I ever had the chance to. Stevens cleared his throat, the soft echo in the dining room amplifying every syllable. "Effective immediately," he announced. "All accounts connected to these payments will be frozen. Restitution will be processed. And Iris Hale will receive what is rightfully hers." The room shifted. Mom's breath hitched, sharp and uneven, like air caught in a trap. Dad's shoulders slumped, his face pale, the weight of the revelation pressing down in ways no words could ease. Emma's smugness vanished, replaced by stunned disbelief. Grandpa stepped closer to Iris, his expression solemn but gentle. He rested a hand lightly on her shoulder. "You don't have to stay here. You don't owe them anything," he said, his voice steady, unwavering. Iris nodded once, just once. She didn't speak. She didn't explain. She simply reached for her coat, her canvas bag slung over her shoulder, and walked toward the door. Every step was measured, deliberate, a quiet assertion of control. No goodbyes were exchanged. No last words, no pleas or excuses. Just the sound of her footsteps echoing down the hall behind her. The silence broke. Not with arguments, not with apologies, not even with tears, but with the subtle, suffocating realization that the truth had already chosen its side. The house she had known her whole life, the family that had once dictated her worth, was suddenly powerless against the evidence she carried, the life she claimed. "I didn't need their apology. I didn't need their explanation. I just needed to walk out and never look back." The car moved through quiet streets, the engine's hum steady against the soft darkness. Streetlights flickered in the windshield, slicing her fragmented reflection into shards she barely recognized. Eyes tired but sharp, jaw set, shoulders lighter than they had been in years. Grandpa drove without speaking, letting the city and its muted glow fill the space between them. Finally, he broke the silence, his voice low but firm. "They won't touch another dollar. Not one," he said. The words settled like warm weight in her chest. Iris nodded, clutching the folder Stevens had handed her at the house. She hadn't opened it yet, not fully, but she could already feel its significance. Back in her apartment, she placed the folder on the counter, spreading the contents carefully. Copies of deposits, receipts, every line meticulously recorded over 10 years. Her name was printed where it belonged, every address in the family conspicuously absent. Every entry confirmed the truth she had fought so hard to reclaim. She glanced at the flickering hallway light. Oddly comforting this time, honest in its imperfection. She remembered the childhood kitchen. Cold, dismissive, filled with polished appliances that had never been for her. Now her own kitchen was small, lived in, but hers. Every sound, every shadow, every quiet corner felt like her own domain. Iris leaned against the counter, exhaling slowly. The silence in her apartment wasn't oppressive. It wasn't the weight of neglect or the buzz of unseen judgment. 'Twas air, room to breathe, space to think, space to exist as herself, unmeasured and unclaimed by anyone else's rules. She traced a finger over the top of the folder, a faint smile tugging at her lips. For the first time in my life, the silence didn't feel like something pressed onto me. It felt like freedom. Morning sunlight spilled through the blinds, cutting the room into golden stripes. On the counter, the folder lay untouched, steady, its edges sharp in the morning light. It had weight, not just of paper and ink, but of truth. A decade of overlooked effort, denied needs, and stolen recognition pressed into tangible form. Iris leaned against the counter, taking a slow breath. The folder didn't ask her to forgive. It didn't demand tears or apologies. It only asked her to see things as they were, plainly, without distortion. That clarity was enough. That recognition was enough, she whispered to herself. A mantra more than a thought. Boundaries aren't loud. They're the quiet places where you stop letting others write your story. For years, she had carried versions of herself created by other people. What she should feel, what she should achieve, who she should be. Now she realized that stepping away wasn't betrayal. It was reclamation. It was the space to breathe, to live authentically, to build a life measured by her own truth. If you've ever stepped away from a version of yourself someone else created, let this be your reminder. You're allowed to choose the truth that belongs to you and walk toward the life that finally fits. What's your story? Share it in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching and being part of this story. We want to hear from you. Share your experiences with family dynamics, tough decisions, or moments when you stood up for yourself in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss the real stories we share every week. We have countless tales of resilience, betrayal, and empowerment waiting for you on this channel. Remember, you're not alone. Our community supports each other through these journeys. If this story resonated with you, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We share real stories about real struggles every week. Drop a comment below. Have you ever had to choose yourself over family expectations? You're not alone. See you in the next one.